definitely something about the heart. So stay humble as you speak to others. Robbie said it best. I'm not going to drag this on. I want to bring to the stage a guy that you've all seen him, and I think his Kickstarter was going onto a plane with a level and started recording. God bless him. Welcome to the stage, D Marble, aka Daryl Marble.
Oh, oh my goodness. Is this thing on? Okay. Awesome. Rookie here, guys. Jeez. All right. So while we're here, just take a few seconds to look around the room at your neighbors. These may be long-lasting friendships you will forge here. You'll notice there's not a single tinfoil hat. All right, that's my joke. All right, so and what you're going to see while you're here, that we're all normal people that have an abnormal perspective on reality. And we come from all different walks of life, different situations, different backgrounds. A lot of us work normal jobs and just live regular lives like regular people, you know. And this, as I see it, is an opportunity to showcase to the world that we're normal people, just the same. You know, there's not going to be any media spin on this one. You know, we get to speak directly to the camera and tell the world who we are, and that's an excellent opportunity for us. Um, so, just wanted to share with you my story again, as a few of you may have heard already. I'm a regular guy from Arkansas, North Little Rock. Um, you know, wasn't very popular in high school. Didn't make the best grades, actually. Um, I slip into a British accent from time to time. You know, probably noticed. Something I work through. When I get nervous, you see me do that from time to time. I love that accent. Man. I don't know what you want me to do. But you know, what I wanted to bring to the table as a YouTuber, flat earther, is just a connection with people. You know, just to show the world that we're just normal people. We have enough information in this whole community situation. We have you know, guys that'll give you complex mathematics. They'll give you different experiments and all that. I'll be the energy guy, as it were. I'll bring some emotion to this whole thing. You want to put energy in motion. That's how we get a movement, and that's how I classify this whole flat Earth thing. Some say it's not a movement. Yeah, it is, in my opinion. Um, so growing up, not a whole lot of friends. Wasn't very popular. I did the normal things that most people do. Got into athletics, all that. Ran track for the last couple of years. I was in high school. Got out and got into the military. Joined the Army. Did basic training at Fort. Where was that? Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and AIT, Advanced Individual Training at Fort Lee, Virginia. I was a unit supply specialist, better known as a supply sergeant. While I was in, I was the guy that if you ran out of toilet paper, I was the guy they sent to the supply store to put the order in, restock the shelves, and get that stuff out there. I had to, you know, keep the books in line and all that. So, you know, no complex background that actually ties into this flat Earth thing, you know, but did a year in the desert. Went to Iraq for a year after 9/11, and that was actually where I got into this whole conspiracy situation. Skipping ahead, I'm nervous, but it's all good. 0405 did a year in Iraq, and at that point I kind of overcame the idea of being afraid. There's another story I just recently put out about how I overcame embarrassment. May tell that story, but some people already kind of chuckled. You heard about that one. Um, what happened was the locals, they would put mortar tubes in the back of their pickup trucks. They would back up to the gate, not the gate, the fence around the perimeter of the military base that we were on. And in the middle of the night, they would come and fire the mortar rockets over the fence, and just in the middle of the night. What we would have to do whenever that happened, whenever there was a mortar attack, we would have to put on all our gear, run to the nearest bunker, and stay put for a half hour for accountability formation. Um, After about 3 nights of that, at 2 in the morning, you kind of, first night, boom, 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 you hear the alarms going off, woo, and then you just get up, frantic, just putting all your stuff on, you take off. After a few nights of that, you kind of get used to it, and I'm not going to lie, there was actually one time I kind of pretended to sleep through the drill. It's you can't stay on edge constantly, and that's kind of something that you'll realize. You can't always stay angry. You can't always stay happy. That's part of reality. There's this separation. You can't enjoy one thing without another thing coming into play. That's the duality of this existence. You can't enjoy a sunny day without rainy days, right? So there was that situation. Got back, got married. That didn't work out. Had a couple kids along the way. What was doing past that one? So got out of the military, got a job working as a logistics analyst, and after a while, began dating a girl, and we found ourselves living together, and we shared a lot of things in common. And one of those things was our, just open-mindedness. That was one thing that was a factor in us connecting so well, that we were willing to explore other things outside of what was real. So we began getting into what we call conspiracies, these alternative ideas of reality. And what happened, we for about 2 years got on YouTube, burned ourselves out. We looked over everything. 9/11 was where we started, and we just kind of worked our way from there. And we went from one thing to another, Sandy Hook, 9/11, the false flags. We got into the Bilderberg, Rothschilds, Illuminati, all that stuff. So all these general things that one ends up looking into when you go on here, because you look at one video and then another suggestion pops up by another guy, maybe along the same lines. So that's kind of what happens there. And so we got burned out, and decided that we were going to take a breather for a little while, take a step back, step away from that, because what happens when we look into these things, you'll come to a place where you start to get an outlook of the world that's kind of dark, takes you to a kind of sad place, and thank you for that nod there. I need the confirmation, man. Crowd participation, I love it. All right, so you'll get to a part to where you start to feel like reality is just kind of scary, like you'll find out that nothing ultimately is what it seems to be, and we had to step away from that. Me personally, I hit a serious low point maybe a year and a half ago. Full disclosure here, get ready. So I hit my low point in this whole thing, where everything was just terrifying, and I had to detach from reality for a while, and it even affected the relationship. So for about 6 months, I had buried my head in this game, Marvel Contest of Champions. I was the leader of a alliance named Conquerors of the Battle Realm. My username was Digital Ninja X. It was awesome. My best player was Captain America. Anyway, so I just kind of buried myself in that. I had to step away from all that. You'll end up driving yourself insane if you get too deep into that. So it's important to come back up for air, and then maybe go back in after you've processed for a while. We all have to take some time to process our emotions when we see these things. So if anything, I'd encourage you to look at one thing, look at another thing, and then maybe step back, get as much information about that, process it in your reality, move on, then go on to something else. But you're going to do what you want to do anyway. That's just a suggestion from one friend to another. So that's where I was at. So after that, we got involved in the political aspect, still kind of playing around in the matrix. I wake up one day in 2016, I'm like, Donald Trump's running for president? What? So, so I started paying attention to these things, I'm like, okay, so what's going on? There's this Bernie guy, Hillary. No, okay, so I'm from Arkansas, so I start to look into Hillary Clinton and realize, dude, what? The body count, right? Gee. It is not safe to be her friend, man. So we started looking into these things. I'm like, I was nervous for a few months. I was like, because all the media, they're like, yeah, Hillary's got it by a landslide. There's no way Trump. It's like everybody was anti-Trump. And I kind of fell into that paradigm, even though I had done all this research, knowing that the political theater was just that. It's all an act. It's all a stage. We all know that these are actors just playing a role for everyone. So looked into that, and after a while, it just started to worry me that it looked like she was going to win. So around the time where they actually started rolling the votes out, November 2nd, and was able to take a sigh of relief, seeing that Hillary didn't win, because, man, where would we be if that happened? Anyway, moving along, I felt a little better after that and stepped away from politics for a while and just kind of drifted with circumstance for a few months. Along the lines, we had already figured out flat Earth. What happened during that time where we detached ourselves from the conspiracies, we had got onto Netflix and watched a TV series based on a Stephen King novel, I believe was named Under the Dome. And we got through that series. It, first two seasons were all right. Third one, you kind of lost me. It did. It was all bad candy. Seriously. Just got weird at the end. But anyway, what happens after you do a Netflix binge? You kind of have this emptiness in your heart. You're like, now what? So to continue feeding that, trying to fill that void, we get onto YouTube, and I type in Under the Dome. And we're looking for behind the scenes content. We saw some outtakes, blooper reels. That didn't really interest me. I was looking for more episodes, maybe. Yeah, right. Like it's going to be on YouTube, but not on Netflix. What was I thinking? Anyway, but one thumbnail that stuck out to me, it was a picture of Earth, seemingly, except it was flattened. And there was a dome over it. There was water spilling off the edges. There was out in space. And the title of it was Under the Dome. It was a 2-hour video. I click on that video, and the first words I hear, this is a Reader's Digest version of the Flat Earth Theory and some of the more interesting topics. That cool voice that I heard, that guy, Mr. Mark Sargent. And like Rick said, this guy put his phone number at the end of that video. That was one of the things that stuck out the most to me. I'm like, okay, he's pretty transparent, He might actually want to talk to people about this, obviously. He put his email, put his phone number up. I'm like, all right, cool. But after that first video, after the first few minutes, we had to pause it for a minute. Like, did he just say flat Earth? Because I had never heard that in my adult life, and we'll pause it in between each of the flat Earth clues and ask each other questions, and we ended up watching that one time Friday night and get something to eat, go to sleep, wake up. We watched that video all weekend, back to back. Like we'll watch it one more time. We're like, okay, I gotta watch this again. She kind of got tired of it after a while. She just kind of left me at home for a few hours. Just trying to digest them, like, because I had never heard these things, but each thing started to make sense, that much more sense to me, and I was already primed to see this. I was ready to receive the whole flat Earth idea because we had already come to the conclusion that we have been deceived about so many other things. So of course they would lie to us about this. I mean, why not? They tell us that vaccines work. They tell us that milk's good for us. And a whole litany of other things. Litany, like I say that on a regular basis. just pulling stuff out of here. Anyway, so litany. Anyway, so what happened? Just a regular guy, just talking. All right, just hanging out with friends. All right, so we were ready to see this thing, and from there, it was one more thing. I started looking into ODD stuff, Jaron, Rob Skiba, interviews by Patricia Steer, just the interview by Dave Murphy. I wish that guy was here. That guy was awesome. We were back and forth on what was that, Skype this morning. Good guy. I love that guy. So just going through the information and processing it. But for a while, I was a classified closet flat earther. It took me about 4 months before I actually talked to somebody outside the apartment about this. Look, and even then, I was in my car on the way to work. I pulled down my rearview mirror and looking, and I'm like, I think the Earth is flat. It takes a while, man. Because this is a concept that goes contrary to the mainstream narrative on the whole. So you got to be ready to be called crazy if you're going to say this out loud. So I had to get comfortable saying it to myself, and then away I went, talking to people at work. And they told me to stop doing that after a while. Anybody else? Okay. Got it. They're like, no, dude, it's round. I'm like, you mean spherical? Anyway. Don't even have the proper terminology for what they claim to believe. But at any rate, just moving along. So that's the flat Earth awakening in a nutshell. Just moving along from that. After that whole political thing, we had calmed down. I was still a flat earther, not as vocal as I used to be. But what happened? I still kind of ended up breaking the rules, so I still ended up talking to guys at work about it. I'm a transportation tech, so I'm responsible for calling drivers in and out to ship and receive vehicles for a contracting company. So I work with a download team, and they're also responsible for getting the vehicles uploaded to get them shipped out. And they go on break every day at 9. So what I do, I kind of sneak out of the office at 9 o'clock. I go to where they're taking a break, and I'm like, all right, guys, so here's what I learned in this video I was watching last night. So I'll talk to them a little bit each day. And, met with resistance for the first few sessions. I was kind of like the flat earth teacher in the area. It was awesome. But after a while, they started to ask questions and became more receptive to the idea. So out of the 5, I was able to convert 2. One was on the fence, and the other 2 were still resistant. You're going to be all right, Jake. Anyway, still love you, buddy, if you see this. But it's all good. And Clint. Anyway, but the guy started to ask questions, and I got back to him after a while, and there was a meme a series of pictures that I saw matched together on Facebook that said these are things that won't work on a spherical Earth. It was, I believe, a periscope, a sundial, spirit level, and compass, gyroscope. Might have been a gyroscope too. It might have been 5. However it goes, didn't have a sundial handy. I had a compass, but I didn't know how I would use that to conduct an experiment. But quickly, after I got off work and I talked to the guys, I was like, no, a level wouldn't work on a globe Earth, Omar. And he's like, well, what do you mean? So we went back and forth with that for a little while. And after work, I went to my favorite department store, Lowe's, and I bought this. I bought this thing, and I went back and I said, okay, look. So what would happen since we're here in Tacoma? If this is level here, I couldn't really explain it all that well then. I'm like, if this is level here, the bubble stays in the center. We drive 2 hours away to Portland, and it's still level there. That means it's flat, right? But I thought about trying to do an experiment driving my van. I also live in a van, by the way. I thought about doing an experiment driving down with my van, but I would have had to have a guy holding the thing in the driver's seat to make sure we didn't go over any curvature on the way to Portland. My camera would have ran out of battery life. I wouldn't have been able to, the storage, it wouldn't have worked out. But I remembered I had a flight coming up, going to visit my daughter on her 10th birthday. Hi, honey. I took the level with me, and on the flight out to go see her, I had propped the level on the tray table. So I had already done the experiment before I actually filmed it. And you should have saw me. I get the thing sitting on the tray table, and I'm just staring at the bubble for about 10 minutes like, it's not moving. The guy next to me is like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, no. Don't worry about it. I'm going to prove that the Earth is flat, man. He would have thought I was crazy for sure if I'd have came out there. So I only checked it out for about 10 minutes while I was on that flight, and then I get there. We're hanging out that weekend. Went to the birthday party and all that. I was scribbling down my notes for the recording and all that, and I still had it in the back of my mind the whole time as to how I was going to present this. So I was like, okay, so I need to get my hair braided. First off, you gotta be fresh on the screen, right? Anyway, it's kind of a social experiment I'm doing here. I'll explain that later, maybe. But got that together, got my notes together as far as explaining the experiment, and the weekend was over and it was time to get back on the flight. So I'm like, how to do this? I set up my computer, record talking here, and do another recording at Savannah, walking through the airport. I'm like, okay, we're about to get on the plane. So I, set up the camera, and the rest, probably. So I posted that video for a small group of people on Facebook, and that was about it. Did not expect anyone to pick that up and put it on any forums to be looked at. I later realized or found out from a coworker that he took my video and put it on a Reddit thread and said, hey guys, what do you think about this? I'm like, Dustin, really? So, I saw it getting more views on YouTube because in April I had 27 subscribers. And today it's well over 22,000. So that's totally new to me. I'm the new guy. So from there, what happened? I go to work one day. It was a Friday, and I saw that the views on the video went to about 7,500. So I get a comment to my phone. My phone was vibrating more than it ever has been because nobody knows me. I'm getting notifications from YouTube on this video, and I get one comment. I pull my phone out, and it's from Mark Sargent. He says, hey, you made the news, man. I'm like, what? Posted a link. I click on the link. It's IFL Science. Flat Earthers experiment goes viral, but not in the way he predicted. I'm like, 7,500 views is not viral. Who wrote this crap? So, I go through this thing and I'm reading the article. Now, we've all experienced being called names, ridiculed, and all that, but it's one thing to be called an idiot to your face, but for somebody to write an article, totally different. Totally different for somebody to write an article calling you a moron. So they took screenshots of my Twitter post. They put my name and my face. They used my real name, for crying out loud, on this thing. I'm like, still wondering if I can sue somewhere or not. Anyway, I'm sure somebody knows some legalese in here. You get with me after this thing in the hallway. But after that, I started getting all these attacks. People calling us names, the trolls, the people who are still holding on to this globe Earth belief. Calling me names, just hey, you're a moron, you don't know about gravity, you don't understand physics. Of course it wouldn't have had to dip the nose down. All these things that we hear on a regular basis. Gravity, they love that one. It's their favorite, It's like their Lord and Savior, Gravitron. All hail. Anyway, so from there, I started making videos to kind of defend myself, because I'm like, I'm just a normal guy. I got tired of answering the same questions to everybody, as we all do. And that's basically all my channel started off as. But after a while, I kind of came to a different conclusion, that this is about more than just defending myself. This is a paradigm shift. This is a lot more than just trying to get a one-up on anybody as far as what we believe. We're not trying to express any degree of intellectual superiority over anyone, so much as just trying to wake people up to the idea, or make them aware of the idea that we've been lied to. And it's what you would do with any friend. I mean, if you have a friend and you know that they've been deceived to some degree, you're going to pull them aside and say, hey man, you can't, she's not right for you, bro. I know you don't see it, I see it. What I know is, okay, so anyway, but you want to tell people about this. This is why we go to our close friends and family and try to alert them, make them aware to this thing. And it's successful with some people, and other people not so much. Luckily, in my existence, my family, they're cool. They get this thing. I went home about a month ago. Pops picked me up from the airport. We're just back and forth making small talk, and then there's a little quiet time. He says, it only makes sense that the earth is flat if you think about it. I'm like, yeah! I know, right? That's what I'm talking about. Got Pops on board, man. So, just give it time. Just give it time. We're just planting seeds. Seeds take time to grow. It takes corn like 90 days. So, give it a while, right? Everybody's not going to flip right off like that. Some people are more ready than others, and some people just aren't going to get it. What we're here to do is find the ones who are ready to get this thing, And, as a result of that experiment, articles have been written about me in, the UK, Australia, Lebanon, Israel, lots of different places in the U.S. And if you Google spirit level guy, I'm the spirit level guy for all eternity. So I don't know. Maybe I should have bought some Swanson stock. I don't know. Missed out on that one. It's all good though. But this is an opportunity here at the conference to forge some lifelong friendships. Because I've met a few people already. I met a lot of great people. It is great. I always promote meetups. It's always great, amazing energy in the room. Because what happens is, after we come to this reality, this realization that the world isn't what we believe it is, we want to tell people around us, we want to tell our friends, families, coworkers, and we find ourselves to be somewhat isolated. And we want to talk to people about this thing, but nobody wants to talk to us. And getting to these meetups, it gives you an opportunity to talk to people about flat Earth as much as you want to talk, they want to talk too. So that's all good. It's a win-win. So while you're here, I encourage you to exchange phone numbers, because that's what phones are for, to talk to people that you want to communicate with. Exchange emails, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. However you communicate, make some friends here. It's going to be good. This whole, we'll call it a weekend. Nobody's going to work tomorrow, are they? All right, let's call it a weekend then. I'm saying it's just awkward. This Thursday and Friday, make sure, no, this weekend is going to change the world if you think about it, because what we're doing is actually going contradictory to the mainstream narrative. And there was one thing that I wanted to read. I had actually heard this morning, and it kind of resonated, and I just thought it was cool. So it says, as the war between light and darkness continues, heroes and villains become harder to identify. Kindred spirits separated at birth, fighting for their place in time to be solidified. The clock ticks faster and faster while time runs the marathon in this Babylon. But you see, the end is only the beginning of the calm before the storm. I thought that was cool. I just want to throw that in there. But that's what this is, guys. This is a paradigm shift. This is a new way to view reality. What we do from here is move forward however we can, expressing ourselves whatever way that we can. And we all have different strengths. Some of us are extroverts and can make videos and want to jump in front of the camera and act all crazy and stuff. So some people can do that. Others want to just, get behind the mic, post pictures while they do a voiceover. Other people want to draw and, do art. People can do music. However you want to spread the message. If you want to write on the side of your van, Earth's surface is 71% water. Bodies of water do not curve. Therefore, the Earth is flat. And you want to drive around just kind of red pilling people in traffic, then do that. It's a great conversation starter, I can tell you. I get people walking up to my van, taking pictures all the time. I'm like, is that even legal? But that happens. I mean, so I'm excited about this thing. I'm always willing to spread the message about this thing, and I believe that we all are too. I don't believe there are any closet flat earthers here, and if there are, get out of the closet. We need you. Because what we're doing here, this is somewhat of a battle, more or less between good and evil. No, more or less. This is a battle between good and evil. Okay, because what we do at this point, we're spreading information, opening people's minds to a concept that brings them to the conclusion that this place was created. This place was fashioned by a divine creator. And that when we come to that conclusion, well, you have to look at the other side. Well, who would want to hide that fact? The bad guy, obviously. I'm a simple guy. I'm the common sense guy. That's what I do. So, looking at it like that, this is what you've been waiting for. I find when I talk to people that we all have this similar story, like we never really fit in, weren't really always the most popular, outspoken people. We could sit in a room with people while they're talking about things that have zero relevance to what we're talking about, and won't so much get into it. I mean, I was just the same way. I go to work Monday morning around this time of year, and everybody's talking about their football games, and this guy scored this much, and there was an epic fourth quarter. And did you see that play? I'm like, no. I'm sorry. I'm kind of on some other stuff, man. That's Geez, gee, you know, getting excited about a bunch of men in tights. I don't roll that way, bro. So, no, I mean, just you know, mainstream reality keeps us so distracted with things of no real importance. I mean, you know, and I used to ask people from time to time, and guys would get upset about this. I'm like, so I don't get this. So what you do, you buy these jerseys, you paint your face, you go to these games, you're a season ticket holder. So showing all this team spirit, making sure that you get to all these games, you've even written things on your car, you have all these stickers. So at the end of the year, when your team wins, what do you get? They're like, the excitement, you get bragging rights, but you didn't do anything. You don't get bragging rights for being a fan. Anyway, I'll move off of that one before somebody's probably like, screw you, D. I love my team, man. My cousin plays for them. Anyway, it's all good. But you know, I mean, it's these things. Go Saints. Cut that out, Candy. But but you know, it's just things that you know have no true value in life. Let's put our focus where it's going to matter later. Things that you know are going to carry over and maybe make an impact in the world. Like you know, showing people that things aren't quite what we've been told. Crying out loud. People in this reality, in this society that is, have been so detached from reality that they'll argue this concept and tell you that, yeah, of course, I've seen the curve. I'm like, no, those are implanted memories. I've looked out of the plane. I saw it. No, you haven't. Here's this video I made. I filmed the whole thing. See any curvature? Well, you're not high enough. There's not enough weed in Colorado. To get high enough to see the curve, okay? You'll start thinking you're spinning. but, but you know, still, I mean, just those things. It's like our senses don't tell us anything about there being any curvature. Our eyes don't see the sun as being 93 million miles away. When I put my feet on the ground, I don't feel any movement, but we're spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. Oh, the atmosphere. I'm sorry. Here, break this down for me. Other than the Earth, can you give me an example of a enclosed system existing next to a vacuum without a physical barrier? That fries their brain cells. I'm telling you, they short circuit when you ask them that question. Yeah, gravity with two B's. So you know, just things like that. Our senses don't pick up on these things. So you know, I take a really common sense approach to this whole situation. You know, when I'm explaining this thing, it's just water, water. You know, everywhere you see it, the surface lays flat. You grab a bottle of water, drink half of it. You look at the surface. Come on, man. And you run your bath water, let it sit for a little bit. You're gonna see this flat across the whole thing, man. Go to the pool before you jump in the pool. You know, growing up, I used to go fishing with my dad all the time. You know, he would wake us up really early in the morning, about 5 before the fish start jumping, so we could go fishing and all that. Because he worked at a place that was connected to the Arkansas River, and we would go there with him, go to the bait shop, pick up some worms, grab some snacks, A&W root beer. It was delicious. Barks? Are you kidding me? A&W, baby. Anyway, so, you know, and then we would get out to the water. But I remember getting out and looking across the lake, and it's early in the morning before anything's going on, and the lake's just calm. From one side to the other, it looks like glass. And as soon as I heard about flat Earth, that's what snapped it into place with me. Remembering those memories going fishing with my dad, because, you know, I'm like, water doesn't curve. So you're telling me, old Joe Bag of Donuts, globe head, what you're telling me is that water lays flat everywhere except for the oceans. Well, yeah, gravity, because gravity affect. I'm like, all right, dude. So, moving on from there, guys, just continue doing the best that you can to spread the message as far as this thing goes, because the way I see it, in the next 5 years, this thing's going to be common knowledge. And I believe that we're right here. We're going to affect change in the world, and we're going to do the best that we can to probably shorten that period of time, because this is exponential. When people get discouraged as far as talking about this, I like to say, well, think about this. After you talk about flat Earth and have people in the mainstream talk about this, they say, this person is going to make flat Earth look crazy. I'm like, well, even if they are, think about this. One of three things is going to happen. One, somebody's going to hear about flat Earth that's already a believer in the globe, and they're going to continue being a believer in the globe. Two, they're going to look into it and then go back to believing in the globe. Or three, they're going to really look into it with an open heart, and they're going to become a flat earther. So our numbers only grow. Our numbers only grow. We only increase. So we're going to get to a point where there's going to be a degree of saturation. There's going to be a tipping point where consciousness on Earth, on this flat plane, goes from believing that we're on a spinning ball to knowing that the Earth is flat and that we've been lied to. And that's when the change can begin. And right now, as far as any infighting, any bickering that may occur, that's irrelevant. It's so minute, so unimportant that we shouldn't even really waste our time with it, myself included, although recently. Anyway. I'll try to keep the shades off in the next few videos. I go into fight mode when I do that. Anyway, but what's going to happen is we understand that this is a way to move forward in the future to make things better. This is a struggle between good and evil. We are on the side of light. You are the soldiers of truth. You are the warriors of the light versus the darkness. So appreciate yourselves for having the courage. For having the courage to do what you do concerning spreading this truth, because this is the most important thing that we can do, because this is the very foundation. This is the basis of our reality. Everything that we know about reality is based on this one thing. And once we figure this out, once we get the world to figure this out, things are going to change for the better, because things have been suppressed that will make things, take things to a more positive direction. So this is for future generations. There is, in my opinion, no more worthy cause than to spread the truth about this whole flat Earth reality. Okay. I'm just glad to be counted amongst great people here, to be a voice in this movement. And I want you to be encouraged to know that your voice counts also. Whether you're a speaker, whether you're on stage, whether you're a content creator or not, there are people that you're going to reach that I can't. There are going to be people that you're going to reach that Mark Sargent can't get to, or anybody else in here. So your circle of influence is important. And again, I encourage you from here to meet some new people, shake some hands, exchange some cards if you have them, exchange information, and make some friends out of here, because it's necessary to encourage yourself, because we get so much negative pushback from the outside world who still believes that mainstream narrative that we live on a spinning ball flying through infinite space, and explosions can come out of nothing, and people can evolve from monkeys. So, but there are still monkeys, oddly enough. However that goes, They say that we came from that at some point fish just crawled out of the primordial ooze and evolved into this or that. I'm like, that's weird, because every time I pulled a fish out of water, its evolutionary process ended almost immediately. But just want to thank everybody for coming out. Glad you made it. I'm glad I made it. And, be encouraged. Um, have fun. Have fun. Take this in. Take selfies. Take lots of pictures with people. Hey, catch me in the hallway. Let's take some pictures. Give me a big hug. I don't mind. Hey, it's me and you right after this. So it's all good. But knowing that these individuals are here and that we're all on the same page, we as a Flat Earth family give each other the strength and vitality, fortitude of character to live fearlessly. And that's what this is all about. So from here, go ahead with this truth and do the best that you can. I'm Daryl. I'm your friend. This is the Flat Earth Offensive, and you are the resistance.
Great job, brother. Great job. D. Marble. Daryl Marble. Hey, Daryl, I got to ask. When you went on the plane and you're doing the test, were you nervous?